Now we've got our particle system cached out. I'm just going to play a little bit of it here. It's cool. We can start to see that we're getting our nice particles coming off our object separation, as well as the impact points. And we can see the little sliding that's happening from the collision. So everything is working nicely here. But now it's time to actually start to stylize and color our particles, because right now we just have that sort of black to white ramp over their age that we're going to use as a lookup ramp. So let me middle mouse click on the DynParticles01 cache, and you can see that we have this nice clean, just couple of attributes that we need, but we have these two groups, because every time we create a pop source node within the DOPS context, it's going to automatically create these different stream group for us, which is awesome, because now if I scroll down here, middle mouse click, you can see that we have these different numbers of particles from both the ground hits and the object, each in their own groups. Because I want to color them separately, kind of for stylization purposes, but also just to point out so it's really visible which particles had which result. So it just isn't this kind of stew of everything. All right, so I'm going to make a blast node. Put it over here, and we're going to blast out on the left side here. We're going to pick ground hits, but say delete non-selected, so it's only the ground hits, and then delete unused groups. I'll make another blast node, put it here, and we'll do the inverse of that. I'm going to select the object, delete non-selected, delete unused groups. So now this is just the particles that came off the object, and this is just the particles that came off the ground hits. So now I'm going to make a point VOP, and this is going to be similar to what we've done before in terms of basically making a remapper to map that black to white color into color and alpha values. So I'm going to call this create CD and alpha, color it green, and go inside. So let's do our setup. I'm going to make my viewport a tiny bit smaller. Bring this over here. And first we're going to do a vector to float and then connect that to the CD so we can pull off just one color channel to drive the ramp. Now I'm going to get a ramp parameter. I'm going to drive that with that red channel. Call this color ramp. Its label will be color ramp. And now I'm going to make another ramp parameter. I'm going to call this alpha ramp, and its label will be alpha ramp. And we can have a ramp type be spline because it's just a float value, and we'll drive it off the same incoming color. Okay, so now I'll do a bind export with the alpha name, and that will give us our proper alpha attribute. So what we're also going to build into this system is our color correction variance randomness that we had done initially with our last chapter in the trails. We're going to build that in here too, just so we get a little bit more organic color variation on the particles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a random. I'll drive that with the ID because we have our particle IDs. And we will then have that go into a fit range because we want to control the range of that 0 to 1. So I'm going to have this go to negative 0.02 and 0.05. Often when I'm doing these little hue shifts, it's a really small amount because if you do anything larger, you can start to get into like a multicolored freakout, which may be what you want. But for this, when we want to do just subtle shifts around a central hue value, I find that these tiny little numbers really work best. So now I'm going to make a color correction VOP. I'll wire our color ramp into that. I'll wire the output of our fit01 into the shift, and then I'll wire that into the CD. So we're generating color and alpha with ramps that are driven from our incoming color data, and then we're also randomizing the color just with a random number generated off the particle ID. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to take this, and now that we've built that, I'm just going to copy it and put it over here. Again, one of the really great things about Houdini is that once we build some of these systems and we have them working the way we want, we can start copying and pasting and then using them all over the place and really get the benefits of the modularity of the system. Okay, so now that we have our VOPs built and all that set up, next we're going to actually set these ramps to be what we want them to be, to have the alpha and color values be the way I want them for this shot.